Now, let me make something very clear about politics. You see, the small fish is always the easiest fish to catch, because after my previous video, I saw many comments. People are saying, but what about this person? What about that person? The two Kofi philosophy, you too. Why is this one working free? But you see, I want to ask, why are you comparing yourself with people who have powerful networks, people who have money, people who have lawyers, in fact, good lawyers, political protection, influential friends, and resources that you simply do not have? You are exposed. Think about that. You are exposed. You see, I have observed something repeatedly in this country. Two people can commit similar acts, they can commit the same crime, yet they will experience different consequences. That may not be the justice we really want, but sometimes that is the reality happening. And let me say another uncomfortable truth. When politicians are in opposition, they really need you. They call you, they respond to your message, they praise you, they call you brave, they will cheer you up in doing all these things, they call you patriotic. They tell you, we are together. Let them win power. Try calling them, try sending them a message. You may suddenly discover that your importance has changed. That is why I always say, never will more than the bereaved. The politician will eventually receive the reward and the positions, whilst you may inherit his enemies. And let me add another thing here. You see, never cross an ocean for a politician if you know you cannot swim. Because when you begin to drown, the politician may simply move on for another person, looking for another person who can swim. I'm telling you, they're always looking for somebody to be used. Now, after saying all of these things, you see, I also believe that it's not every case involving political offensive speech that should automatically end with a prison. You see, as I stated in my previous video, I believe the Community Service Bill 2026 should become a practical alternative to imprisonment for certain eligible minor offenses like these ones, where the law permits. In fact, for certain speech related offenses, especially where there has been no physical attack and actual violence, I believe the law should seriously consider alternatives. I hold the point of view that offenders can contribute something meaningful to the society instead of simply putting them in a cell. I also believe that sometimes we also need to ask whether certain individuals are truly well when it comes to their health. They may be dealing with some underlying psychological problems that we might not even know. Some of them bipolar and a whole lot of things that they might be dealing with. So maybe it's time sometimes we clinically refer these people. So this is not an excuse. I mean, I'm not saying that this is an excuse for wrongdoing, but then sometimes it happens. Maybe we have not looked at that angle, and this is something I want to put across. But it may be something that the justice system should take into account when determining the most appropriate intervention for such kind of people. Some of them are going through psychological problems that they need help with. Perhaps some mandatory counseling, anger management programs, referrals, clinical referrals, or some psychological assessment should be part of dealing with such kind of people. We can also consider requiring a formal public apology to the individual who was targeted. You see, alternative punishment does not mean that there's no punishment, but then it makes the punishment become proportionate, constructive, and capable of achieving something beyond just a mere retribution or being punitive. Perhaps some of you listening to me have never spent a day inside a police cell or prison, and so sometimes you wish for them to spend their life in jail or police cells, to spend their life in jail. But let me tell you something. I have been in the police cells before. During the anti-Galamsey protest in September 2024, I was among the protesters who were arrested. I mean, those guys who were saying stop Galamsey, stop Galamsey. I was part of them. And I'm telling you, I spent about 2 weeks in police cells. And eventually, I was discharged after the prosecution decided not to continue my case because they found nothing against me. In fact, not only me, but some other guys were later being released because they decided not to continue. And let me tell you, honestly, let me be honest. Being inside a police cell or a prison is not something I would wish for anybody. So whenever I hear people casually saying, lock them up, jail them, it should be more than 1 year, we should give them 10 years, let them go to prison, especially in the matters relating to, speech offenses. Oh, I sometimes ask myself, do you truly understand what you are wishing? Maybe you should spend some 1 week in police cells or prison just to know how it feels like. Prison should never become our first instinct. For me, that's my opinion when it comes to speech offenses, especially when there are lawful alternatives capable of correcting behavior while still protecting society. The aim is to correct the individual, not to be too much punitive. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, let me also say this as a non-partisan observer, and I think this should be taken seriously. I believe government should pause for a moment and carefully review this approach. The approach of arresting these TikTokers. You see, the opposition is watching calmly, quietly. Maybe they are acting. You see, every arrest creates another political conversation. Yeah, because these arrests are already being portrayed by some people as selective political punishment. Whether that perception is fair or not, perception itself has political consequences. The opposition, I believe, will use it one day, and they will say that this government doesn't tolerate criticism. He doesn't tolerate a common insult. They will use it to build public sympathy. They will use it. Yeah, I'm telling you. And sometimes I feel political opponents set some of this trap and simply wait for the government to walk into it. If somebody has made a credible threat against another person's life, fine, investigate it thoroughly. If somebody has incited violence, that's fine, prosecute according to the law. If somebody has genuinely encouraged others to attack another person, the law must certainly take that seriously. But then, where the issue is primarily insulting speech, then I think government should ask itself one important question. Is imprisonment always the most appropriate response? Or is it simply the easiest response? Because government must never appear more interested in being punitive than being correctional. And I believe that this is not a perception that this government really wants to be associated with. So I strongly propose alternative punishment for such kind of offenses. You see, there's a saying that if you stop to throw stones at every dog that barks at you, you may never reach your destination. Think about it. The president will be insulted. The president can never avoid insults. The vice president, neither. She cannot avoid insults. They will insult. They will insult ministers. They will insult members of parliament. They will insult celebrities. They will insult religious leaders. Even God the Almighty is being insulted. Jesus Christ is being insulted. The Prophet Muhammad is being insulted. Oh yes. So we cannot stop it. There's nothing to do about it. But you see, that doesn't mean I condone any of it. Not at all. But then, leadership comes with a certain burden. If you want to become a leader, especially a public leader, someone who wants to lead in any position or in any office in Ghana, please One of those burdens is learning how to rise above any form of insult, provocation, criticism. Leaders must develop a certain level of emotional resilience and intelligence. There's an account expression that says, Openyi due mante mate. Yeah. A wise person does not hear everything. Not because they are deaf, but because they understand that not every word deserves a response. If you react to every insult, every provocation, every social media post, every trending comment, then I think you hand over control of your emotions to these your critics. So as a government, as a leader watching me, please don't allow other people to determine your peace of mind. And sometimes the most powerful response to an insult is silence. Sometimes the strongest response is simply refusing to be controlled. Because when people know they can provoke you into reacting every single time, they have already defeated you psychologically. Do not give them that power. Ladies and gentlemen, we must do a constitutional review, or we must review some of these laws around speech offenses. You see, where the law allows, I strongly say that alternative forms of punishment, such as community service, psychological referral and counseling, anger management programs, and public apologies, should also be considered. Because justice should not only punish, justice should also reform. And finally, to every young person watching me, a TikToker, somebody that is enthused about the social media, if you want to pick an angle, be careful. Be very careful. Do not allow politicians to use you. Think about it. Don't become don't become a political weapon. Think, analyze, and ask difficult questions. Always ask yourself, who benefits from what I am about to do? If you cannot confidently answer these questions, then I think you should hold on, pause, and think again about the angle that you want to go. Because social media fame lasts for some few days and some few minutes sometimes. But the consequences of that decision that you made will follow you for years. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my point of view once again. And I'm Sikadwa Kofi. If today is your first time watching me, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then let me know your thoughts as well in the comment section. Come back. Let us have another meaningful conversation. For now, I'll say God bless you. And it is bye-bye.